Jason Harp is adding a little life to a place for the dead.
The results are very gratifying when we do finish.
Jason preserves what many loved ones of the deceased may call precious, if not priceless.
I'm responsible for most of our cemetery projects, mainly the ones that involve the conservation and restoration of grave markers.
He is the Director of Cemetery Conservation for Richard Grubb & Associates, and he takes great pride in caring for the only symbol of life for those who are no longer living.
One of the interesting things, or I guess exciting things about working in an area that you can revisit is, I may have repaired something 5 years ago and then go back and see that it's still intact.
St. Luke's Episcopal Church Cemetery in Lincolnton was founded in 1841, and many of the markers here are well over 100 years old. Parishioner Mary Wisnett says that means there is a mission behind the maintenance.
I think it's important to carry our history on, but we also have an obligation to the families who have buried their families here. We have an obligation to the people who founded this church.
So by no means then is this some simple job where you grab a bucket and brush and get to work. Preservation also means learning about the material that needs to be cleaned, whether it's sandstone, slate, or granite. And then it's the kind of care that each grave marker receives. In order to restore this piece of history, you must first do no harm.
There's more than just maintenance when we talk about restoring gravestones and monuments. We really want to work in preservation methods so that we do not cause problems down the road. And that means proper materials, proper procedures.
Jason starts with a special cleaning solution called D2 to remove lichen and other substances from the stones. It's a biological mixture that does not have salts, bleach, or acids.
So we wet the stone down completely with water. We apply the D2. You can let it sit for 2 or 3 minutes or so, and then you completely clean from top to bottom.
The St. Luke's Episcopal Church Preservation Committee originally hired Jason to clean this cast iron fence on the cemetery property. For both projects, finding the right person to clean the artifacts is about as important as the items themselves.
When we have a question or we want to do a project, Jason is who we go to because we trust him. He takes such care with these monuments.
Jane GOODSON is the chairwoman for the Preservation Committee of St. Luke's Episcopal Church. She says for parishioners like herself, this preservation process is also very personal.
I have family buried here. My mom, my dad, my grandparents, and my favorite aunt and uncle are buried here. My grandfather's brothers are buried here, and this is where I will be buried.
And mixed with this respect for family and tradition is the chance to learn more about the past.
When we clean the markers, it's amazing. They're completely different. You can read things. We found things we didn't know that were in the marker.
People contact Jason to work on cemeteries of all sizes, from finding grave sites or mapping to locating boundaries for even abandoned cemeteries.
They're interested in putting up a fence around it, but they don't know the boundaries of it, so they are interested in having a ground-penetrating radar survey to try to identify, so that when they put in an enclosure, they're not actually putting it on top of any potential burials.
For all that Jason does, the people at St. Luke's Episcopal Church know the most important responsibility is honoring the memory and memorials of those who've come before us.
And people come here because there is a tradition, not only in the church, but in the cemetery. It's our heritage.
A heritage that was created in this cemetery 180 years ago, and church members hope will live on. For Carolina Impact, I'm Todd Wallace reporting.
We hope you enjoyed the story. If you don't want to miss any more great stories about the Charlotte region, please subscribe to our YouTube channel.